Ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, you are going to hear opinions, and while the podcast is endorsed by Uriah Heep, the opinions of the host and various guests do not necessarily represent the opinions of the band or any of the members past or present. With that being said, let's celebrate the music of Uriah Heep. Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, doing a song-by-song review of every studio recording that Uriah Heep ever made that I can find. Some of them I still haven't found. I know there's a couple songs out there that I have not been able to locate just yet, but I am working on it. And we're a long ways away from getting to those anyway. We got a bunch of albums to cover. We're only about a little past halfway through album 9, High and Mighty. And this was definitely an interesting album so far. Some great alternate versions that we've covered and more stuff to come. So today we are going to talk about a song called Can't Stop Singing. And wow, I don't know why I went to the South really fast, just like that. Can't Stop Singing, not singing. I don't know. It's been a day. Anyway, so that is the song that we're going to talk about today. But it is Monday, and Monday, as you guys know, is my day of gratitude. Very important to thank all the people that helped make this come together. First and foremost, you know what? I want to thank Uriah Heep. I don't think I thanked them enough. Without them, I wouldn't be doing this show because the music wouldn't exist, but especially to Mick, who held the band together through some really turbulent times. And, there was times when he probably thought about stopping for a minute here and there. He actually talked about that a little bit on one of the Ask Mick episodes on YouTube, which if you guys haven't gone to the official Uriah Heep YouTube channel, you should do that. There are all kinds of fun things on there. Phil Lanson's got some videos. He talks about his books. He talks about some songs. He talks about writing. Mick has got some really cool Mick Mondays videos where he talks about different songs. He has Ask Mick where you can write him a question and he answers it. He even answered one of mine, which is really nice. Now, we want to definitely celebrate the music of Uriah Heep, and there are other people that have helped me make that possible. First of all, my buddy Scott Ledzinski, who did the logo for the show, did a fantastic job on it. Love it. I still get compliments on it all the time about how good it looks, and it really fits in well with the rest of the logos from the Deep Dive Podcast Network. So great job, Scott. Looking forward to doing some more stuff with you down the road as I transition into some other projects that I'm considering. Also, my friends at Audionamics, who make a wonderful product called IDC, or Instant Dialogue Cleaner, helps my voice as it is sound as best as it can. Really what it does is it takes out all the background noises, the airplanes, the children playing, the dogs barking, all of that stuff, just magically wipes it all out like an audio magic eraser. I love it. I use it on both of my podcasts. I use it on pretty much anything I do now where I'm speaking. And there's a lot of that these days. So very important people who have helped in the production of the show. And of course, my brothers in the Deep Dive Podcast Network. We have Nate and John over at the Deep Purple Podcast, The Simple Man at Skinnerd Reconsidered, Terry T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cuts on the Other Side, Rye at Sabbath Bloody Podcast, Paul, Joe, and David at The Lap of the Pods, a Queen podcast where I've learned so much about that band that I knew nothing about whatsoever. And then, of course, we've got Brandon at Metallicast, my favorite Metallica podcast. There are a number of Metallica podcasts out there, and I do enjoy a couple of them, but Brandon's, I think, just really hits home for me. And, of course, my dear friend Allegra, who runs GottaHearEmAll.com. Check out that website. Lots of great history. Really expanded into some cool things, too. So well worth a look and going back many times. Follow her on Twitter. She posts a lot there and, posts articles and stuff when the website updates. Ace on Music, the band's manager, Ace, he has his own show, which is on Stitcher and YouTube. And there are a lot of amazing things that he talks about, stuff I didn't know about the music business. He's got a lot of experience. He's very well spoken too, which is nice. He's got a great radio voice. And of course, my buddy Dave White, the media manager for Uriah Heep. He takes care of the website. He does all kinds of stuff. He reposts all the episodes on the socials, except for Instagram. And Dave, I can't thank you enough for all the time that you take to do that at 4 a.m. when the episodes come out and you're just waking up. So thanks to all of you guys for helping to make the show what it is. There's certain people that I just really appreciate, and all the people that have supported me on the show, putting it together, getting the word out means a lot. So also thank you to all the people who have liked the show, who have followed it on the socials, and mostly people who have shared it with other people on their socials, tagged people in posts so that they can check it out. Not every song over the course of 50 years that a band writes is going to be for everybody. And I got a lot of people that write to me and go, I don't like this song. That song, they shouldn't have done it or whatever. But you know what, guys? We're talking history. What's done is done. The stuff that's out there is out there. And it's not going to change. If you don't like it, don't listen to that song. Skip it when you're listening to the album. I tend to listen to music, the little bit I get a chance to listen to music just for pleasure. I tend to put everything on my iPod. And if there's a song that I don't like on an album, I just delete that song, or, because it's easier to just copy the whole album and then delete the one song. So that's just what I do. There's one album that I absolutely love, and there's a cover on that album that I don't really care for, and it just kind of takes me out of the zone a little bit. So you know what I did? I just didn't put the cover on my iPod. I don't listen to it. Don't listen to songs that you don't like. Listen to the songs that you do. Focus on that. Focus on things that you enjoy. And, maybe give those other songs a chance down the road. I've said it many times on the show. I continue to get emails like, I don't like this song, and it'll be like an episode that's coming up. I'm like, well, then don't listen to that episode. It's pretty simple. I give you guys 4 episodes a week. So there's 4 songs I cover every week. There's bound to be something in there that you're not going to like. I don't focus on that. I don't focus on the negatives. I don't focus on the band history. I might mention some stuff that, like about the production, that this feels a little off balance as a listener. But, I don't really dwell on the negatives. What I do is I try to find the fun stuff, the good stuff, the interesting stuff in every song, focus on that stuff, because really that's what it's all about. If you are just spending your life complaining about things you don't like, you're probably not a very happy person. I spent enough time being an unhappy person in my life. I want to be happy, and I just dig into things that I enjoy. I like finding little things I didn't notice before and bringing them to light. So I get a lot of people, though, that do write me, and they say that's what they love about the show, is that they've been listening to the song for 40 years and they never heard that, or they never thought about this, or they never paid attention to that. And it's just because of the way that I capture the song in that moment, because I don't sit there and go through the song and script this. It's just, here's me listening to the song. As I find interesting things, I stop it, I talk about it, I go back and play the next section of the song until there's something else I want to mention. And that's it. I mean, that's the show. So it's not scripted. It's not pre-planned. Some songs are easier because I know them better. But even in some of the songs, the very first song I did, I found stuff I hadn't heard before, which was cool because I never really just paid that deep of attention. I just enjoyed the song. I didn't analyze it. And just kind of looking at these songs with a different set of ears. That sounded weird. Okay, well, that's what I said. So, but going through that process and just paying attention, focusing from a different angle, it's really interesting the things that I've been able to pick up and really cool details and things that I've been able to enjoy and appreciate about this music that I've loved throughout the majority of my life. Even more now because I'm able to find those things and appreciate on a whole nother level some of the stuff that was put into it, because some of the stuff I couldn't hear. Different mixes, different, because I'm listening to the remastered versions. I'm listening through a nice set of studio headphones. And, over the years, it's been in the car stereo, different cheap headphones, all kinds of ways that I've listened to these songs, LP, cassette, CD, not remastered, different mixes. And so, when you expose yourself to a lot of different ways to hear a song, you might pick out different things. And I've been able to find some really cool things to share with you guys. So that's the show. Anyway, let's just stick to the good stuff, guys. Uriah Heep had a lot of turbulent years. A few of you have reached out talking about what a difficult time in the band this was. Yes, it was. But, the band doesn't go to the studio and release their troubles. unless it's in the form of a song. What the band does is they go into the studio, record company fronts a lot of money for that, and they record music. It's what they're feeling. It's what their creative juices came up with individually, and then they put their touches on it together. They don't release, here's a chronology of every bad thing that's happened or a good thing that's going on. What they release is the music, and that's what this show focuses on, is the songs and not the history. Sure, the history plays a role in how the songs were created, what was going on in the time, but what this show is all about is just the music itself. And it's time to get into our song, Can't Stop Singing by Uriah Heep off of the album High and Mighty. Well, it's definitely something that's different. We've not heard from the band in this manner before. I tried to look up what that chant says. I can't find anything on it, so I'm not sure what it is, but it definitely has a very unique feel. Kind of feels more like something I would have heard in the 80s, I think, than the 70s. So maybe they were a little bit ahead of their time. But definitely an interesting feel. Love the little guitar bits that we're getting in there. Some really nice, solid beat and piano. Just a very simple song, but I'm not really sure what the mood is just yet. It kind of feels like it's mellow, happy, but mellow. It has kind of an island feel to it for me. I'm not sure exactly what to say, how to describe it, because I haven't really encapsulated the feeling of it just yet, I don't think. But hopefully it will reveal itself as the song goes on. I think we're about to get to the first vocal section, but it definitely is kind of an interesting feel. The mix is really nice. Drums are powerful, and the drums have been really consistent on this album too, I have to say. So that's been really nice. They sound great. Probably one of the best drum mixes for sure so far.
He has no song to lean on.
Well, in the first section there, you've got that classic, just Heep vocal harmony. You got a very gentle one, and even the high voice is just singing really gently. It's not about power there. It's just about delivering the lines and making them sound really pretty. I love when they sing together like that. And then in the second part, where it's more solo-ish, there's a really interesting synth that's playing in there. The music really kind of backs off, though, and just lets the vocals shine and cut through. But definitely interesting. It's not a song that I could really compare to anything that the band has done up to this point. So it feels a little bit maybe experimental just because it's new territory. But, the band, somebody comes up with the idea, they work on it together, they develop it. So who knows how many times they played this song. They sound really comfortable. Don't get me wrong. They sound comfortable playing it together, but as a listener, it feels like it's an experimental direction. So, that's just what I'm feeling in it anyway.
So I'll take my time just to give you my rhyme, to try to be sure and open the door. 'Cause there's much more to life than a day and a night to dream on.
That is such an interesting sound that we're hearing on the synthesizer there following the vocal. I can't quite place what it is because it's not a flute, but it has kind of like a flute feel. Maybe it's like a synthesized ocarina patch. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with an ocarina, it's this really bizarre flute. It's kind of got, like, you can get them in different shapes, but it's kind of got like, I don't even know how to describe it. I would say Google it, Ocarina. There's all kinds of different shapes and formats of it, but it kind of sounds like a synthesized version of that. it has that breathy feel, but it's definitely not, an actual ocarina. But I would say that's about as close as I can come in maybe what the patch was intended to be. But it does sound good with the vocals. It's really completely different. I like how it plays in. I wonder if that's difficult to sing to a melody that's kind of just, little notes here and there instead of it being something that's a little more solid and backing you up. I guess if you're singing in the same key, it's probably not too difficult, but would seem a little challenging to really be on spot with those particular notes that Ken is playing. A very interesting challenge nonetheless. Now, I think, we have to talk about the bass guitar a little bit. It's featured pretty prominently in the mix, and we're back to that sort of wandering, adventurous bass playing here, and it sounds really good. I think it really helps keep the song moving because we don't have a lot of guitar or, the piano is really gentle, not really playing too much of a riff. It's just kind of like keeping a little bit of melody going, so you almost like you know what key you're in. But it's not doing anything that's real dynamic. So it's nice to have the bass guitar in there, filling that in a little bit. It's almost like they said, here's the drum beat and, follow that, touch on the notes with the drums. But other than that, you've just kind of got a wide palette that you can, paint your picture, or wide canvas, I should say, that you can paint your picture on. So it gives him really a lot of freedom to meander around and keep the song interesting as he goes up and down the scale. I don't know why why my voice is so choppy today. Sorry about that.
Now I ain't confessing to some kind of bliss, and I'm trying to say why I'm happy today. I'm not preaching, teaching, making some speech and dedication. 'Cause it's no good me saying where the blame should be laying, for with that kind of reason it comes out the same. With an ear to the ground, each day I found inspiration.
I really love those subtle vocal accents where, there's the singular voice and then there's a little bit of a second, third voice coming in. Very tastefully done. It really kind of keeps things interesting. But I like just the lyrical flow of the vocals as well. It has a good feel to me. And that's one thing that, I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of rap music, for example. But one thing I can really appreciate about rap music is typically the rhythm of the vocals, the way that they, squeeze so many words into one little spot. And sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not, because if you can't understand what they're saying, it's probably not worth it. But just that flow of it, just the way that they make it so rhythmic and everything is really interesting. And here it's kind of the same thing. I love the flow of that. The way that the vocals are being delivered. And that may very well be the first time that Uriah Heep has ever been compared to rap. I wasn't planning on that. It just happened, but that happened. Okay, that was a lot of stuff. So in the first section, it just kind of feels like they're setting it up for a solo to play in. Mick comes in and plays. Really nice stuff. I like that. I love those parts that kind of touch back on the beginning of the song. Just these little jabs here and there on guitar that put some color into it and keep it moving. Sounds really good. I like that. I like that he didn't use a real heavy distortion on here. I think it would have kind of ruined the mood a little bit. There is a little distortion, but not much. It's subtle, and I think that fits the song a little bit better. And then, you've got the tubular bells part, which, while that really fills in from an audio perspective, that really fills in the sound. It's just kind of weird because if you're going along the theme that you have sort of an island feel to it, the beat, it just has that feel for me. The tubular bells really don't make a lot of sense, but they do fill in the sound quite nicely. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's kind of a really unexpected sound. I would not have expected at the beginning of this song that I would be hearing tubular bells in it. But yeah, so I mean, going along with the other synth, with the kind of the ocarina feel, the island vibe, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It doesn't not work, but it's an odd choice. I would say that. That's what I would think. Well, it's an interesting song. It does feel a little bit lackluster in energy for me, especially that last section. I think that they could have maybe put a guitar solo or something in there with the vocals and made it a little bit more interesting. So it feels slightly under what I'm used to from them, but it certainly works. It's definitely a radio playable song. I could see it being featured in on a playlist or something. But in any case, I think it's got some good stuff to it. I think there's some merit in this song. Probably wouldn't be a go-to song for me, but, can you really expect that every song is going to be a go-to song? No, of course you can't, because that would be ridiculous, especially, a band that's been around for 50 years. They're going to have some stuff that you like, and they're going to have some stuff that you don't like. I like the song. I think it's an interesting change. It's kind of like, when you're reading a story and you just hit some weird plot twist that came out of nowhere. It's weird too, because I'm not listening in the context of the album. And I have to think of that too, because as I'm doing these shows, I'm doing them one song at a time. I'm not sitting down and listening to the album from beginning to end to see how the whole album flows as a single unit. It's been a long time since I've done that with this particular album. So I can't honestly remember, but yeah, I would say there's some really good things in this song. I love that synth that Ken plays. I love those little guitar jabs. I love what the bass is doing. Drums are always solid. The vocals are always layered so well. And it just really comes down to whether it's a song for you or not. And that's pretty much how it works. Now, normally I have an order of things that I do on this show. And I kind of jumped to the order a little bit when I started. And so whenever I do that, I get derailed a little bit, because when I do shows like this, I'm a very linear person. There's some things in life I can do where I can, multitask and do different things, or I can do them out of order and make sure I hit everything very well. For some reason, podcasting is not one of those things. I'm very linear, and I typically have an order to them. And I realized about halfway through the episode, I forgot the part that I normally do at the beginning. So I'm going to do that now as we wind down this episode on a Monday. I want to thank the people who, the people who have shared, who have left reviews, ratings, all that good stuff. It really helps the show get noticed. The numbers of the audience are growing, and it's good to see that. And I think a lot of that has to do with you guys, letting people know that the show exists. There's so many Uriah Heep fans. I mean, they got 500,000 followers on Spotify. That's got to say something. Their main Facebook group is, I think, like 180,000 or so. It's like crazy numbers, so, but not everybody in those groups is active. Not everybody, reads the post. So it's nice when people share and say, hey, so-and-so, I think you'd like this, or, hey, did you know there's a Uriah Heep podcast? And that really helps the numbers grow. So thank you to all you guys who have done that. I very, very much appreciate it. And I also, of course, want to thank my patrons. I have a few people that go the extra mile and give a few bucks to the show to help me mitigate the costs of doing the show. And, there's no advertisers or anything on here, so not rolling in those dollars. But there are some very, very kind and generous people who like the show. And who feel that they get some value out of it and want to give a little bit of value back. And I thank you guys. So starting at the $5 Easy Living tier, we have Kenny Wymore. At the $3 The Wizard tier, we have Peter Voss, Goran Eriksson, and Frank Thielgaard Mortensen. And then at the $1 Traveler in Time tier, we have the Ant-Free Airtight Gravesite. And thank you guys, all of you. You can leave reviews on Apple. I will see them eventually. I'm actually, Nate over at the Deep Purple podcast told me about a plugin that I can put on the website that actually captures all of the reviews worldwide. That's been kind of a thorn in our side since we found out about it, that we weren't getting those reviews. We weren't aware of them because they just didn't show up in our feed. So it's really good to know that that's out there. I'm going to be working with that over the next couple of days. Maybe by the time that this episode airs, that'll already be on the website, hopefully. But yeah, really cool stuff. So you guys can leave a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Those will come into that feed and I will see them. Also, some of you guys that have connected to the Podbean site where this show is hosted, you can actually leave comments. Those go right onto the show and they actually pop up in a feed on my Podbean dashboard. It's really weird though, because I can't respond to them from the dashboard. I have to go to the app to do that. I don't know why. I don't understand a lot of times why people design things the way they do, because they just don't seem to be the most convenient or make sense. But in any case, maybe they're trying to push us using the app more. I'm really not sure. But in any case, that's where that is. So when you guys write, I do see those. I don't see all the comments on social media. I'm on there very little at this point. But leaving a review on Apple Podcasts is probably the best place to do it, and where the most people are going to see your notes anyway, because more people listen on Apple Podcasts than any other format. And thank you guys for joining me for another episode. We're making our way through High and Mighty. Got a couple more songs to go, and we're going to enjoy each and every one of them. So we've got another show tomorrow. I'll be back. In the meantime, hope you're getting through your Monday just dandy. It can be a tough day of the week for some people. Hopefully we've spread a little bit of joy and made the day a little bit lighter for you. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!